Know thyself, said the famed Greek philosopher Socrates. It's such an important truth. In fact, our whole life is about knowing yourself and getting to know yourself. But how exactly do we do that? Well, one way is to look to ourselves, take a close look in the mirror to see what we're like. But that's a little bit problematic too. It's a bit like looking at those mirrors at the circus. The reflection can be badly distorted. The truth is that our hearts are deceitful and they're clouded by our own agendas and mindsets and experiences, and we don't really see ourselves very clearly. Well, the next option then is to look at others, and we get to know ourselves through the eyes of other people. And this is quite a good way to do it because, for example, I know that I am tall. And the reason I know that I am tall is when I look to my friends who are much shorter than me. Or I know that I'm, for example, introverted. And the reason I know that is because my old flatmate is very extroverted. When she got tired, she'd love to go out and party and meet people. And I was the opposite to that. We get to know each other by looking through the eyes of others. But there's some problems with that too, because it tends to lend itself towards comparison. If I'm better than someone, it makes me feel proud. Or if I think they're better than me, I feel intimidated. And we don't always see ourselves clearly either. The truth is, the best way to know ourselves is to listen to what God is saying about who we are. This is the God who created us, the God who designed us, who formed us in our mother's womb, Psalm 139 says. The God who knows us better than we could ever know ourselves. I learnt this on one occasion many years ago. The Holy Spirit said to me, Tanya, I want you to write a book. Huh? Don't be ridiculous, God. You know that I can't write. You know that I'm bad at English. I'm pretty good at maths, but terrible at English. Tanya, I want you to write a book. But God, I'm bad at English. I'm good at maths, but I'm bad at English. See, I remember all through my childhood, remember my mum used to say it all the time. She had 5 of us kids. She said, all of my kids, they're bad at English, but they're good at maths. See, my mum she didn't want to say bad things about me, but she had just watched the patterns of her children and made this conclusion. But she didn't know me the same way that God knew me. And the question is, would I listen to God and what God was saying to me compared to what others around me were saying? So I decided to believe God and I began to write. And the first few attempts, I must admit, they weren't that brilliant. But then as I started to write and practice more, people would say, Tanya, this writing is really good. Last week, I received notification from a publisher who accepted my 3rd book for publication. I've learnt this truth that God knows us better than we know ourselves. And God knows us better than others know us. Yes, we can get a limited idea of who we are from other people. But when we go to the source, the designer, the one who formed us, when we listen to what God is saying about us, we will start to see the fullness of who we are grow out of us. I've noticed that as I've learnt to follow Jesus, as I've known God, I've discovered more about myself than I ever thought possible. And the promise is true for every one of us. The God who formed you in your mother's womb knows you, knows the fullness of your potential, knows your gifts and talents, the hidden parts of creativity, the truth of who you are, the parts that nobody else even sees. I encourage you today to know yourself by looking into God's face and allowing him to transform you into his image, as it says in 2 Corinthians 3. The God who formed you, who knows you, and who sees what is best for you and is committed to drawing it out. Thanks for tuning in today. It's been so wonderful to chat with you. For more information on hearing God's voice and having your own God conversations, go to godconversations.com.